One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report and paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Well. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. Hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves on this beautiful Thirsty Thursday Friday, or Thirsty Thursday. I almost said Thirsty Thursday Friday. Actually, I did say it. But anyways, great to see everyone in the chat, man. Hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves. I definitely know that we are. We have a big day in front of us, not just on the show, but as well as we got the final, basically the big last final event that we're going to be doing for the campaign with JR Bowling. We're going to be going right after, basically this evening, we're going to do another meet and greet over there in Hamilton, which is about 2 hours, 15 minutes away from me. It's over there at the Mississippi border. That's where our district ends. So anyways, we're going to be out there this evening and I'll be back late. Anyways, we've got a big morning ahead of us on the actual news front, of course. Trump meets with Xi Jinping. And then we have CENTCOM hearing, which is happening actively right now. We'll get a little bit of it, but those hearings, unfortunately, they do last forever. It's not like we're able to just play the whole hearing. It's sometimes these hearings take up to a couple of days. But we will be tuning in and getting a little bit of what's going on. And then, of course, Vance fraud fallout. Now, I don't have an extreme amount of information on that yet. I'm sure that there's going to be more information later on today. But let me go ahead and give you guys what we're looking at this morning to get us up to current speed, right? Current time right now. We're going to be talking about SCOTUS, that is the Supreme Court, by the way, opens door for Alabama to redraw congressional map before midterms. Now, this is something that is going to be wildly in discussion, especially in the South. The South is going to be seeing a lot of these changes. And also, I have my own opinion on it and how it should have been handled. Even though I am considered a Republican, I'm on the right, I'm a conservative. So I objectively look at these things and say, well, how did this mess up the other side? How does this, you got to look at things objectively, not necessarily one-sided. You got to look at the whole picture. And then we've got Representative Hakeem Jeffries criticizes GOP policies. When does he not? Okay. When does he have anything nice to say about the GOP? That's never. Anyways, we have another interesting development that happened yesterday, actually. Senate approves Kevin Warsh as the next Fed chair. So at least we know who is going to be the next Fed chair. We have that ready for you guys. And then getting back into the congressional whole maps and all that shit, Alabama congressman reacts to SCOTUS redistricting decision. It's interesting that is coming out right now when, they've already approved in the Senate the new map. So I'm not really sure why they would have an Alabama congressman react now. Maybe somebody from the left be reacting. I don't know. And then we're going to get into what happened yesterday with Trump and the administration and the people that he brought over there, a lot of companies. Trump and Xi open meeting in Beijing, quote, biggest summit ever, which it is. I mean, it's humongous. Then, of course, Trump tours Beijing's Temple of Heaven after 2+ hours of talks with Xi. Then Trump toasts Xi Jinping. I don't know how to say it, pronounce it correctly, but oh well. At Chinese state banquet, and then we have day one takeaways from Trump and Xi's meeting in China, and then of course we're going to get a little bit into the whole Senate and seeing what is going on there with Central Command. We're going to be obviously getting a little bit into that. So anyways, real quick, before we get into the madness this morning, let's go ahead and do our call to actions, and then we'll get into the madness. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are here on the vertical side. Double tap that screen, man. And also hit that subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday, and it's free to do so. And then, of course, we have members only on Saturday morning. Now, speaking of members, please consider becoming a member, starting only at $3.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. A little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as the campaign trail. You already know. You guys follow most of it over there. Great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for all you legends where we continue the conversation after the show. Just go into the video description down below of any live video that we're doing, and it'll have the invite link. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen, and at any time you guys can donate to that, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And of course, we'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat. So we've got our email up, and we're going to be doing our best to be scanning. Real quick, already, Virginia Chaos sending in a $7 Cash App saying sick pay for yesterday. Yo, my man, thank you very much for the $7. And also, Al Patterson gave a $4.20 donation yesterday, and on the Diamond Effect that we did. And I did shout him out, but I think that I got it a little late. So hopefully he does see that. All right. Thank you, VC, for making it rain in the Cash App, my man. I very much appreciate that. All right. So great to see everyone in the chat, man. Always appreciate you guys. We got all you legends up in here. We got Pops in here. We got Steve Posey as well as Rabbit of Chaos. Virginia Chaos gifting out a membership. Let's freaking go, man. Not only helping me, but someone else in the IWF, man. I very much appreciate that. Goes a long way. We got Charles Darwin as well as Jack. Good morning to you guys. We got Prez as well. We got Frank. Shout out to my man. We got PJ 420. Yes, sir. We always appreciate PJ. Let's see. We got Steve Easy as well. Good morning, kind sir. Great to see you. We got Liquor Double Poncho, my man. Absolutely great to see you guys, man. Hit the like. Yes, double tap that screen. We're scrolling our way down fast as possible. Sorry, guys. We got Jack Talcott. Yes, sir, my man. Good morning. Great to see you in the chat, my man. Good morning. Good morning. And Minister, what's a fuck face? I like that. All right, let's go ahead and get right into this craziness. Let's go ahead and bring it up. Here we go.
The 1-2 legal punch, energizing Republicans about their chances to hold the House.
It's going to be a huge help in light of what's happened in the last 10.
Now, this is what they're talking about in regards to Virginia redistricting. There's a whole bunch of things going on, especially in the South. We're going to be talking about Alabama here in a minute.
10 days.
Democrats realistic about their plight.
What has happened over the last just 2 weeks has been devastating.
There are questions if Democrats committed a fatal error in Virginia.
If you're a Democrat,
What's up, Pablo?
what
Thank
did you
you.
do with the $60 million we gave you? Burned it
Sterling Wheel. Good morning, kind sir. Good morning. Great to see you.
in a dumpster fire in Virginia for nothing.
Democrats even mulled swapping out members of the Virginia Supreme Court for justices who would rule in their favor.
It is insane, is my first take on that, because, I mean, it would be crazy to throw out judges for making the right decision.
Still one.
And real quick, we got Cameron, the legend, as well as Hardwire 1%er. Great to see you guys, man. Good morning. Good morning.
Maryland Democrat says her state should have pushed harder to tilt maps toward Democrats.
I believe that we had an opportunity to do that. I supported it, and I still believe that would have been the right course for us to take.
Democrats demand punishment for Virginia Republican Jen Kiggans. Richmond radio host Rich Herrera warned House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries to, quote, get your cotton-picking hands off Virginia. Kiggans responded ditto, yes to that. Later, Kiggans said Herrera should not have...
Whoa. What? Get your cotton-picking hands off Virginia? What?
Hands off Virginia. Kiggans responded ditto, yes to that. Later, Kiggans said Herrera should not have used that language. House Minority Whip Catherine Clark wants Kiggins to resign. House Speaker Mike Johnson defended one of the GOP's most vulnerable members.
You should not be evaluating the character of Jen Kiggins based on some comment that supposedly she said.
GOP Alabama Governor Kay Ivey just set primaries for redrawn districts in her state. The new map.
What's up, Moto Bomb? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning so far. Definitely know that we are over here.
Maps could wipe out 2 Democrats. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Oh, and also Motobomb Virginia rated us this morning. I very much appreciate that. You and the coffee crew. Good morning to you guys. Great to see you all. Hell yeah.
And a live look at Birmingham, Alabama right now.
Birmingham.
Meanwhile, in Alabama, the Supreme Court has halted an order for the state to use a House map with 2 largely black districts. On Monday, the Supreme Court set the stage for Alabama to eliminate one of 2 largely black congressional districts before this year's midterm elections, creating an opening for Republicans to gain an additional House seat.
Okay, let me go ahead and explain real quick. So the Senate here in Alabama, which obviously you guys know I'm very in tune with, so they ended up passing a map that was drawn from 2023 from the Republicans. And the Republicans here in Alabama, they drew up a map back in 2023, and they kind of kept that on the back burner just in case if something like this happened. And it sure did. And then while there was a middle of a tornado warning while they were in session voting on this whole thing, and they kicked out everybody. But meanwhile, all the Republicans stayed inside and voted on it and passed it. So listen, I mean, it's just this fucking game of theatrics, man. It's crazy.
This decision follows a Supreme Court ruling back in April that struck down a majority black House district in Louisiana, significantly weakening a provision of the Federal Voting Rights Act. And for more on this, we want to bring in Caleb Taylor, assistant editor of 1819 News there in Alabama. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Caleb.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with how this is all going to affect.
Oh, 1819 News. They just actually reported on J.R. Bowling yesterday, I think it was.
Voters there in Alabama. What's the impact of the Supreme Court's decision?
I mean, the main takeaway from the decision is it moves Alabama from a likely 5-2 congressional map to a 6-1, likely 6-1 congressional map for the
there's the
2026 election.
Okay, so this is the current one that we've been in right here, that you guys can see the 2 Democrat districts. This is the new map over here, proposed over here on the left. And this is the one, I think, that if they get, the Supreme Court to approve, this would be the new map right here. Now, here's my opinion on it. Okay. We're only a few days away from the primary, 5 days away from the vote. What's crazy about this, though, is there's a lot of people in those districts that ran. There's a lot of people that are candidates there that have been running, raised money, all sorts of things. The best way that we could have actually dealt with this is not to throw it immediately and have it go into effect right now, where all those people that campaigned, all that money went to waste. It's worthless now. The way that I think that they should have done it is, okay, let's go ahead and pass this. And what we'll do is, we'll pass it, but it's not going to go into effect until 2 years later, until the next cycle. So you're not really fucking up the people of the state. Because, listen, whether Democrat or Republican, it's irrelevant. It's about protecting the people. So that's the way I look at it.
The Secretary of State and the governor came out today and said that we'll have special elections in August for several congressional districts to kind of implement this ruling that came down from the Supreme Court on Monday. And so, I mean, the big takeaway is this changes Congressional District 2 in Alabama to a seat that is likely going to be, that is currently held by a Democrat, Representative Shamari Figures, and it'll likely be a Republican pickup in November.
What specific parts of the Voting Rights Act are being affected by the Supreme Court ruling, and what's the significance of eliminating a majority black congressional district specifically in Alabama that has a lot of diversity within the state?
Yeah, it focuses mainly on the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. That's what mainly is being I don't know, totally done away with, but mostly done away with. I mean, the big takeaway from this Congressional District 2 going away is You saw it last week in the special session. There's a lot of.
Thank you for that rabbit of chaos, by the way. Saying hit the like on both sides. Absolutely. Double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. You guys don't have to like all the craziness that happens around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that.
Backlash to this happening.
Good morning, Miss Lotus. Great to see you.
The current representative.
Good morning.
Shamari Figures. His mom is actually a state senator, and it was filibustered quite heavily by Democrats, but Republicans have a supermajority in the Alabama legislature, and ultimately the bill passed, allowing this special election process to go through, and so a 6-1 map for Republicans is what's going to happen. There has been also some discussion of a 7-0 map. It doesn't look like that's going to happen this year, but it's possible that something like that.
What they're talking about a 7-0 map, that means every congressional district being red. That's what he was talking about there.
Could happen, be put into place in next year's session, or possibly the next decade when the maps are redrawn again.
And one of the people who has been a big proponent of redrawing the maps there in Alabama is the Attorney General. Why has he been so vocal for this push to redraw the maps? And then we did hear from him following that Supreme Court decision. What did he have to say?
Yeah, I mean, he was very pleased with this decision. It's been a long fight here in Alabama. This case, it's not something that just came up the last couple of weeks. There's been
listen. There has been this kind of, I would say, polarizing opinions, obviously, and for all of these, for the Supreme Court ruling, and then especially in the state, you got to look at, population percentages and stuff like that, whereas the heaviest Black population, and you look at, the southern states, that's really what is going to be affected the most on these redistricting. So that's why I always say, you're not going to see that much changes in elsewhere, but you're going to see a lot of changes in the South. And that's what is actively happening right now.
Victories, and there's been losses for the state of Alabama. And so, I mean, the basic takeaway is map should be.
Oh, shit, Virginia chaos. That sucks, man.
Be drawn based on communities of interest, economics, stuff like that, not based on race. That's the main argument for putting these maps passed by the legislature in a special session in 2023 back into place.
And we also heard from some other lawmakers and state officials today with reaction to this on both sides. Who else have we heard from, and what did they have to say about how this will affect the midterms and the even broader future of Alabama and its congressional districts there?
Yeah, I think one of the worries.
I actually have not seen that yet, Steve Posey. I definitely have not yet. Anyways, let's go ahead and pause it here on this whole thing. Let's move it on. We already know about the these congressional districts changing. We're watching it all happen, and of course, we're going to be reporting you guys the stories as they go along and factually, right? And anyways, let's go ahead and bring up now. We're going to get into Hakeem Jeffries. I guess he criticizes GOP policies. How is that a headline? Hakeem Jeffries always criticizes GOP policies. So what's new?
All right, we're going to pull out of this real quick because House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Okay, Timu Obama, just get it over with.
A few moments later.
Is now having a press conference. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Oh,
the
boy.
American people. It's an extraordinary admission. But the reality of the Trump presidency and Republican control of the House and the Senate has regularly made that very point. Because under the presidency of Donald Trump and Republican control in Congress, the economy is a disaster. Costs haven't gone down, costs have gone up, and it's a
Virginia chaos. I got you.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Shit.
direct result of Republican policies. The Trump tariffs have increased costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. At the same period of time, Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice, where billions of taxpayer dollars are being wasted, has resulted in life becoming more expensive for the American people, particularly as it relates to the dramatic increase in gas prices. In the Trump Republican economy, inflation is at a 3 or 4 year high. The cost of groceries is out of control, gas is out of control, goods are out of control, housing prices are out of control, and the Republican assault on the health care of the American people has ripped away the ability of millions of everyday Americans to be able to go see a doctor.
You mean illegal aliens?
When they need one. Donald Trump and Republicans promised to love and cherish Medicaid. They turned around and enacted their one big ugly bill, which is the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. And as a result, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers closing all across the country, particularly in rural America. The economy is a disaster, and we know why. It's because Donald Trump and Republicans don't give a damn about the personal finances of the American people. Donald Trump said it, and he meant it. Questions?
Questions? So that's his monologue. Took him 2 minutes and 20 seconds to get through his little monologue. Now he's going to be up here for the next 25 minutes answering questions. That's what it looks like here. We'll take a few questions. We'll see what's being asked here.
Republicans are ahead of Democrats in terms of fundraising for this cycle, but you spent $60 million.
Oh, real quick. We got Money Talks, man. We got Sold Out coming in with the $9.99, sending out a 10 spot saying, hit the likes on both sides. Why not? Yes, sir. Hit that like button, man. Very much appreciate that. Double tap the screen if you guys are on the vertical side. And Brother So Loud, thank you for the 10 spot in the chat, man. It definitely goes a long way. Let's get it.
Virginia here. Do you think that was $60 million well spent? Is that going to impede your efforts to spend money in key races this fall?
The House Majority PAC actually outraised for the first time the Congressional Leadership Fund. As you may know, in the last quarter, for the first time ever, the House Majority PAC outraised the Congressional Leadership Fund, the crooks, the liars, and the frauds. That's what it stands for. Because at the end of the day, here's what we do know. Republicans have concluded that they need to cheat to win. That's what they're celebrating.
What are you talking about? If you're talking about congressional maps, well, you really can't be that upset at the Republicans for doing that shit. The GOP does it. You guys do it. Both sides do it, and both sides get pissed off when you guys do it. So honestly, how about we just say, fuck no more redistricting? You know what I mean? But that's not going to happen. So gerrymandering is going to be a thing, and both sides are going to play. And then both sides, when it happens, they're going to cry wolf when it fucking happens to them. It's just, I don't know, man.
Is that what you're elevating right now? The notion that
these liberals, man, they always got to play the emotional card every single time.
Emotional, damn it. Elected judges would overturn the votes of more than 3 million citizens in Virginia. Is this what Republicans are celebrating right now?
Oh, Jesus.
Because the people in Virginia now are outraged. They're angry and they're determined to send a message in November, regardless of what ultimately happens before the Supreme Court of the United States of America, where that reckless decision by the Virginia Supreme Court is now on appeal. But what's been made clear, our resolve is more.
That's exactly correct, by the way. Taylor Shift, absolutely. You want to know how gerrymandering works to a T on the liberal side? Look at New England. Absolutely, Trailer, you're 100% right.
Robust now than it ever was. Because it's clear Republicans can't defend their policies. They can't defend their failure on the economy. They can't defend this reckless and costly war of choice. They can't defend the fact that they've ripped healthcare away from millions of Americans. They can't defend the
You mean illegal aliens?
fact that they're stealing food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans. And so we're not going to unilaterally disarm. Not now, not ever. And
yes, he absolutely is there, Steve Posey. He is absolutely arguing for racism.
This redistricting war is just getting started.
That's right, Adrian. Timu Obama.
We spent $60 million. They spent over $40 million. The people of Virginia were very clear. Money's not going to be a problem for us. And enthusiasm is not going to be a problem for us. But what's going to be a problem for the other side of the aisle? I don't know what you're asking, but because
I'm going to need this.
We're going to continue full steam ahead. Period. Full stop. That's just the reality of the situation. And Republicans have the narrowest majority of any party since 1930. They are not going to be able to rig the midterm elections. Period. Full stop.
What are you talking about, rig?
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Just to piggyback on that, though, can you confirm that you were part of a call recently with Virginia Democrats, and can you explain the nature of that call and whether or not you specifically discussed a proposal that would involve replacing the state Supreme Court as a means to trying to redraw the map in Virginia?
The conversation that I had with members of the Virginia congressional delegation.
Hey, listen, Cameron, I have to blame the left this morning for me, sparking up on the little counterclockwise
Will
tobacco.
remain a private conversation with members of the Virginia congressional delegation. But the consensus on the call was we're going to win 2 or 3 seats, regardless of whether the current Virginia Supreme Court decision holds, which was a disgusting decision to invalidate the votes and the voices of more than 3 million people in Virginia. How desperate are these MAGA extremists? Because they know they're going down in flames electorally in November. They know it. And that's why they're behaving in such a desperate fashion. So we are going to proceed.
You know what's funny is even while he's speaking here and saying what he's saying, it's funny because I feel like he actually senses like he's bullshitting, right? Like he knows he's bullshitting. Obviously, we all know this, but he knows it too. Like he's just playing the part.
We'll see what happens with the Supreme Court appeal that was filed by the Virginia Attorney General. It's not as if we have great faith in the fairness of the United States Supreme Court, but we'll let the process play itself out. We're operating under the assumption that the map is what the map is right now in advance of 2026. It may change in advance of 2028, but we're winning Virginia 1 and we're winning Virginia 2, and we have a shot to flip those other 2 seats under this current map. And that's what we're resolved to do.
You ultimately lost this. You take personal.
Who lost?
And yes, the problem is whether Hakeem Jeffries knows he's lying or not is actually irrelevant, right? What you're getting at is there's going to be people that actually believe his bullshit. Absolutely. Whether it be in that room or anybody watching this shit unfiltered from somebody like, they're just watching it from the mainstream media and no one's correcting it. Yeah, absolutely. People fall for it all the time.
Did the voters lose?
You take personal responsibility for investing so much time and resources, tens of millions of dollars, and ultimately fruitless effort.
We did the right thing, and this effort is not over. It's just getting started. And by the way, come back to me on November 4th when Democrats have taken back control of the House of Representatives. That's ultimately going to be, what matters.
I don't know, man. That's wishful thinking. But the truth is, whether there's gerrymandering or not, at the end of the day, what it's going to really boil down to is the economy. That's what's going to end up getting people to flip-flop, essentially, is really the economy. You're not going to, of course, you're going to see some help right now from congressional maps being flipped. Of course, that is going to be a help there. But if truly, if we don't see the economy get better over this time, we might see a difference in November. We don't know.
What do the American people, we are going to win the House of Representatives. I'm telling you that right now. I've been telling you that from the very beginning. And by the way, what math are people focused on when they think about the electoral environment that we're in? When Democrats took the House back in 2018, and at minimum, we're in a 2018 environment. When Democrats took the House back, we had to flip 24 seats in 2018. 24 seats, which people said was impossible to do. We didn't just flip 24 seats in 2018, we flipped 40. And of those 40 seats, 31 were in districts that Donald Trump had just won. In this particular instance, we started out this Congress needing to flip 3. When it's all said and done, Republicans at best will...
I agree with that, Steve. And I think that happens only every 10 years, though. On the base year, 2020, 2030, 2040, right?
At a hand...
The problem that we've been experiencing with the census, as you know, is because it goes just based off of population, it doesn't account for illegal aliens. And that's essentially what the problem was in a lot of these blue city states, I should call it. Not even blue states, blue city states.
Full of gerrymandered seats to that total, when it's all said and done. So I think what that means is that we just have to flip a fraction of the seats that we flipped in 2018. A fraction of the seats that we flipped in 2018, and we're in the majority. And so we're going to proceed full steam ahead everywhere in terms of pushing back against MAGA extremism. And we understand that Republicans, desperate as they are, because they've been a complete and total failure, are going to proceed with diabolical intensity to try to steal the election. Instead of changing direction, they want to change districts, but they can't get anywhere close to 24. They can't even get close to double digits when it's all said and done. And so Susan Del Bene said earlier today, we're going to win back control of the House. And the big fight will be what happens in between 2026 and 2028.
That's true.
Because we know this unprecedented assault on Black political representation, the likes of which we have not seen since the Jim
What's up, Carrie, over there from Rob's neighbor? Good morning, kind sir. Great to see you in the chat.
Crow era. The ghost of the Confederacy has afflicted the United States Supreme Court majority and is invading and haunting the nation right now, and we take that seriously. And we know it's going to continue, which is why Democrats are committed to launching a decisive and overwhelming response in advance of the 2028 election to ensure that it's the American people who are the ones who get to decide who's in the majority in the House, who's in the majority in the Senate, and ultimately in 2028, who gets elected as the next president of the United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Two questions that I could. First, your math really.
This will be the last, you know, she said she has a couple of questions, so this will be the last person to ask questions, and then we'll move on.
Has gotten more difficult. Do you see it as just a harder path now to the majority? And second,
What's the math as you see it?
Jesus.
No, what's the
Turn it
math
down.
as you see it so that we understand the same
well, it just looks like
basis?
you're picking up more seats through redistricting.
But I'm saying, what's the math? Because we started at 3. What do you think it's at right now?
You said yourself, not quite double digit. I think that's what people are looking at. Pick up a, net 5 or something, 7, maybe 9.
Yeah, so let's give them a net of 3, for instance, because we're going to win 5 seats in California. They'll be fortunate if they win.
Yeah, Virginia Cass, dude sucks.
3 in Texas. They're not defeating Vicente Gonzalez, and they're not defeating Henry Cuellar. In fact, they aren't even contesting the Cuellar seat right now. And we know that it's the Cuellar
Yo, Skippy, no kidding, bro. Xbox 360, Mike.
seat and the Gonzalez seat that are counted among the 5. They're not getting 5 out of Texas. They'll be fortunate if they get 3. And because we're going to defeat the current incumbent in Texas 15, right next to Representative Cuellar and Gonzalez, they may only get 2 out of Texas. We're getting 5 out of California. They start down 3. So I ask you, what's the math that you're talking about? Right? When they start down 3. And we're going to win at least 2 seats in Virginia, as I talked about, under this map, if it holds. Don Davis is going to get reelected in North Carolina. We pushed him back substantially in Ohio. And so we're full steam ahead. And
okay, you have no other substance to add. I can already tell the way that you ended that mid-sentence there. All right, we're going to move on. Senate approves Kevin Warsh as the next Fed chair. So let's go ahead and bring that up, and we'll quickly discuss it. First, what we got to do, you know what we haven't done? We definitely got to embrace our fuck-ups.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Embrace the process. All right, here we go.
Put this up on your screen. We have an update as the Senate has now approved Kevin Warsh as the next Fed chair. Of course, here on Live Now from Fox, we've been following all of those updates, including Kevin Warsh's path to ultimately being confirmed by the Senate. But this now puts the 56-year-old lawyer and financier at the helm of the U.S. Central Bank as it's now grappling with intensifying inflation that may make it hard to push through the interest rate cuts that President Trump has since demanded. The Republican majority body did today confirm Warsh to a 14-year term on the Fed's 7-member board of governors. His swearing in to both positions awaits final White House signatures on paperwork that was sent by the Senate. Warsh, though, will take the leadership baton from Fed Chair Jerome Powell, whose term ends on Friday. But
wow, I didn't know that his term already ends on Friday. That's interesting. Cool. All right, so at least we know where that stands. Quick update on that. Now we're going to go ahead and see. We have an Alabama congressman reacts to SCOTUS redistricting decision. Now I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I haven't seen this yet. Pun intended, by the way. I'm gonna guess that this is gonna be some sort of Democrat from down south, probably either in Montgomery somewhere, maybe in Tuscaloosa. We're gonna find some over there from Birmingham or something. So let's go ahead and see let's see what is being said here. And
Thanks for
we'll
being
figure
with
it out.
us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We do want to continue on with our top stories that we're following from this week. And I want to put this up on your screen if you've been following the conversation surrounding redistricting here in the country. And there you have it from the Associated Press. The Supreme Court has now lifted the mandate for Alabama to use a U.S. House map with 2 majority black districts. And to get into a little bit more about what this means, the Supreme Court just cleared the path for Alabama to now use a new voting map for the midterm elections. This is seen as a victory for Republicans and yet another sign of the significance of the court's recent decision that now
So that's exactly what we've been kind of waiting on for since this passed. I think the Senate passed it here in Alabama like 5 days ago, something like that, whatever. And it was a map drawn up from 2023 from the Republican side of the Senate, right? So anyways, this is what we've been waiting for, though, right here, is to get the Supreme Court to rule that we can use another map, essentially. So, and the Supreme Court did lift the mandate for Alabama to use a U.S. House map with 2 major or majority black districts.
The Voting Rights Act. Of course, we've been following all of the reaction to that since that decision first came out a few weeks ago. And so the court's order is now centered around an ongoing legal issue that was ultimately brought by a group of Alabama politicians who asked the court to change the state's voting district. This has also been seen in other states across the country, like Louisiana. Putting up a live vantage point that we also have there of the U.S. Capitol building. But the map that is centered there in Alabama includes 2 districts where black voters make up the most of the population, and both of these districts elected Democrats to Congress back in 2024. The Supreme Court's decision, though, will send the case back to a lower court judge to reconsider the legality of the current Alabama map. This decision now opens the door for the state's conservative supermajority to adopt a previous map from 2023. This should increase the Republican Party's advantage.
I'm actually surprised that they had that information. What they just said right there. Like I was telling you guys, it was a map that was approved actually in 2023. So I'm surprised that the media knew that.
Legality of the current Alabama map. This decision now opens the door for the state's conservative supermajority to adopt a previous map from 2023. This should increase the Republican Party's advantage ahead of those May primaries. Now, these maps do include only 1 majority black district instead of the 2 that are currently being used in those maps. And so there you have it on your screen, just an outline.
As you guys see, there's the 2 black districts, as you guys can see on the lower side. And then, of course, you got the proposed map, which is over here on the left side, where it's only 1.
Of what we're watching unfold here. It is important to note, though, that Alabama was originally barred from using the 2023 maps because they were found to be intentionally discriminatory. So here to talk about all the changes.
Yeah, that's interesting that they sent the map in trying to get it approved back then in 2023, and it got shut down as saying that it was due to race. So that's interesting.
Happening in the state is U.S. Representative Shamari Figures. He represents Alabama's 2nd district, which includes Montgomery. Representative Figures, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox.
Well, I'll hear his opening and we'll move on. Because we got a lot of shit that we got to do with Trump and Xi Jinping. So we got a lot to cover. We'll get a little bit of what he's got to say and then we'll move on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'll save you guys.
Of course, such an important conversation that many folks are having around the country when it comes to voting rights and what we're watching unfold here. You've seen how it's unfolded there in Louisiana. We've seen conversations happening in Tennessee as well. Now this redistricting fight has made its way all the way to your front doorstep there in Alabama. I first want to get your reaction, though, to the voting rights decision that ultimately came down from the Supreme Court a few weeks ago.
Well, a couple of things to note here is, and we consistently see it reported in the media that Alabama has 2 majority black districts. We don't. My district is not a majority black district. It's 47% African American in a state that is primarily composed of 90+% of African Americans and white Americans. But in terms of the Supreme Court decision, listen, I don't think it was anything that was necessarily unanticipated or unexpected. I think we very much so expected the Supreme Court to weaken the Voting Rights Act in some respect, and that's exactly what happened. But the case in Alabama is still very much so ongoing. It was not the exact same case as Louisiana. There were number of significant differences in that case. And even in the Louisiana case, they specifically said, you're not overturning the Alabama case. And in a decision that the Supreme Court wrote primarily about partisan gerrymandering.
This guy speaking right now made a statement saying this is an incredibly unfortunate decision by the Supreme Court that not only continues their trend of breaking from the norms and precedents set by the court, but also sets the stage for Alabama to go back to the 1950s and 60s in terms of black political representation in the state. These motherfuckers just love to cry, bro. Seriously, I mean, they love to sit there and cry over shit. Dude.
You said the state of Alabama did not even attempt to defend its maps as partisan gerrymandering. So some significant
Always, we're going back to the 50s. Shut up. Shut up.
differences. So we fully expect to come out on top when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. And we know that this conversation, and we have your response that you also put out on your X account as well. But there's also been reaction from around the state, including there from the governor of Alabama, Kay Ivey. In fact,
be safe out there, Pablo. And this is Governor Kay Ivey right here. They all call her Meemaw over here in our state. Call her Meemaw.
In the last 24 hours, the governor.
And you know what's funny is she supposedly, allegedly, has like dementia or whatever, and she doesn't even have voting rights. All she can do is sign shit into law, which she probably has no idea what the fuck she's signing into law.
Has already moved to alter the election dates for the upcoming House primaries. The majority of Alabama voters, they were scheduled to go to the polls.
But she's not rerunning or whatever. She's just trying to make it to November, and so
next week. There we have her statement that she is now calling on to now push 4 of those districts are now going to be affected by that new congressional map that is possibly in the works there. They're now going to have a special election date of August 11. I want to ask you this. What's your response to some of those voters who were expecting?
Yeah, man, definitely let Red and his family know that, I'm super sorry that they're going through something like that. And I'm praying for his dad, man.
Their vote in these House primaries, now possibly having to wait until August to have their votes heard.
Well, first and foremost, I tell everybody to still go vote. The primary is still scheduled for next Tuesday on the 19th. The congressional candidate names
correct
still appear on the ballot for the districts as they are currently configured. I think the state of Alabama rushed to do this. I don't think it was wise to announce a special election date 6 days before you already have it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And right now, we only have 5 days until the election for us over here. So anyways, enough of this. We're going to go into China now. We have to. It's one of our main talking points or titles today, what we're subjects that we're going to be discussing. So let's go ahead and get through this. We got a lot to get through into regards of this, but let's go ahead and do it.
Well, President Xi, I want to thank you very much. First of all, that was an honor like few have ever seen before. And I think I was particularly impressed by those children. They were happy. They were beautiful. The military is obvious. It couldn't be better, but those children were amazing. And they
What's up, brother Wildcard? Good morning. Great to see you in the chat, my man.
Represent so much. And I know they represent so much to you. You and I have known each other now for a long time. In fact, the longest relationship of our two countries that any president has had. And that's, to me, an honor. We've had a fantastic relationship. We've gotten along. When there were difficulties, we worked it out. I would call you and you would call me. And whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked it out very quickly. And we're going to have a fantastic future together. Such respect for China, the job you've done.
Now, something I got to give credit to is Xi over there in China. He goes, China needs to be partners. We need to be partners in the world, not enemies. And and I think everyone was also taken back by that comment, which is great.
You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth. And I just want to say on behalf of all of the great delegation that we have the greatest businessmen, the biggest, and I guess the best in the world.
Brother GEG, good morning.
We have amazing people, and they're all with me. Every single one of them. We asked the top 30 in the world. Every single one of them said yes. And I didn't want the second or the third in the company. I wanted only the top. And they're here today to pay respects to you and to China. And they look forward to trade and doing business. And it's going to be totally reciprocal on our behalf. So I really look very much forward to our discussion. It's a big discussion. There are those that say this is maybe the biggest summit ever. They can never.
Yes, Lindsay Smith. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Good morning. And yes, like I just said, Xi was even saying that, hey, we should be partners. We shouldn't be enemies. We should be partners in this.
I don't remember anything like it. I can say in the United States, people aren't talking about anything else. But it's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend. And the relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that was a great statement. That he was speaking to Xi right there. All right, let's go ahead and bring this over. I'm not sure how much information we're going to get from this, but this came out super early this morning. It was about 1 a.m. My time, Central Standard Time over here. But it says Trump tours Beijing's Temple of Heaven after 2+ hours of talks with Xi. I'm sure that, because I'm not interested in him walking around a temple or whatever, but I'm sure that there's going to be maybe some sort of interview or governmental official posts. Let's see. We're just scrolling ahead here. Looks like they're just walking around, him and Xi. Get that for you guys real quick. I like how she's got her hand out the whole time. Oh, there is going to be a little speech, it looks like. Oh, maybe not. Maybe pictures. Yep. Just pictures. Just pictures. Let's scroll ahead here, see if there's anything else. He's just traveling along, checking out the Temple of Heaven over there. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So Trump toasts Xi at Chinese state banquet. All right, let's go and bring that up and also see what's happening. Also, you know what we haven't done yet? We haven't done the money part yet. We gotta do that.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
It feels ultra good to be a G.
Denied.
All right, let's go ahead and bring this up. 3, 2, 1, bam. Good morning,
thank
Tiffany.
you very much. This is a great honor. It was a fantastic day. And in particular, I want to thank President Xi, my friend, for this magnificent welcome. And it really was a magnificent welcome like none other. And for so graciously hosting us on this very historic
What's up, No?
state visit. We had extremely positive and productive conversations and meetings today with the Chinese delegation earlier. And this evening is another cherished opportunity to discuss among friends some of the things that we discussed today, all good for the United States and for China. And it was a great honor to be with you. Please.
What's up, Charlie Rose?
感谢习近平主席。今天我们度过了非常美好的一天。首先要感谢习近平主席这一盛大的欢迎，那么也非常感谢在这一次历史性的国事访问当中非常慷慨地接待了我的代表团。那么今天早些时候，我们跟中方进行了富有成效以及具有建设性的对话。那今天晚上将是我们另外的一次机会。
I was assuming that they were going to kind of pass that part, but let's go ahead and skip to it.
全的未来。
Hold on. Let's get the English
我们
version.
再次讨论我们今天早些时
If
候
there
已
is.
经讨论到的一些问题，以及我们的共同利益，以及我们如何能够为全人类塑造更好、更安全的未来。
No, they're just going to look at him and say, go ahead.
The relationship between the American and Chinese people goes all the way back to America's founding. The first
Yeah, so that guy, he was essentially just translating.
American consul to China, Samuel Shaw, arrived on the first American trading
Oh,
ship
shit.
to reach these
Let me check.
shores in 1784. The Chinese merchants had a name for the Americans. They called their visions the New People. 2.5 centuries later, that first connection has grown into one of the most consequential relationships in world history.
美国人民和中国人民。
Yo, Magic Man, thank you for the 10 jewels, my man, over there on the vertical side. Making it rain over there. Appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and skip ahead of him doing the translation.
美国的商船到来的慢慢。
Founding father, from the beginning, our citizens have shared a deep sense of mutual respect. Founding father Benjamin Franklin published the sayings of Confucius in his colonial newspaper. And today's sculpture, recognizing that ancient Chinese sage, is carved into the face of the United States Supreme Court very proudly.
从一开始，我们两国
Okay, real quick.
有进行致敬。
President George.
Okay.
The appreciation ran in both directions. Chinese admirers of President George Washington gifted a stone tablet honoring his memory to adorn the Washington Monument. It bears the words of a Chinese official who called the great general and statesman a hero among men.
这一种欣赏
Hold on.
And across the centuries, this mutual esteem grew into a relationship that reflected the tremendous talent and potential of our two people. Chinese workers helped lay the railroad tracks that connected our Atlantic coast to the Pacific. American travelers to China helped spread literacy and modern medicine. And at the request of China's ambassador, it was President Theodore Roosevelt who provided the funds to establish President Xi's alma mater, Tsinghua University.
在过去几百年当中，时任建立了习主席的母校清华大学。
As allies in World War II, President Franklin Roosevelt's mentions of the brave people of China, that's what they were, drew loud cheers in his speeches in the United States, and everybody loved what he had to say, just as many Chinese now love basketball and blue jeans. Chinese restaurants in America today outnumber the 5 largest fast food chains in the United States, all combined. That's a pretty big statement.
Real quick, we got wild card as well as Steve Easy saying double tap that screen and give a like from Mike. Yes, sir. Very much appreciate that. And by the way, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. You guys don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we're doing here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that. All right, here we go.
作为二战期间的盟国，罗斯盟国前
We value benefits both of our nations.
Hold on.
That stretches back 250.
Here we go.
This bond of commerce and respect that stretches back 250 years is the foundation for a future that benefits both of our nations. The American and Chinese people share much in common. We value hard work. We value courage and achievement. We love our families and we love our countries. Together, we have the chance to draw on these values to create a future of greater prosperity, cooperation, and happiness and peace for our children. We love our children. This region and the world, it's a special world with the two of us united and together.
All right, real quick, we got Steve Easy also gifting out a membership. Yes, sir. Making it rain. I very much appreciate it. Not only helping me, but someone else in the IWF, man. I very much appreciate it. All right, skip ahead here. And it looks like he's about to wrap up here.
Thank you again, President Xi, for this beautiful welcome. And tonight it is my honor to extend an invitation to you and Madam Peng to visit us at the White House this September 24th. And we look forward to it. And I'd now like to raise a glass and propose a toast to the rich and enduring ties between the American and Chinese people. It's a very special relationship. And I want to thank you again. This has been an amazing period of time. Thank you, President Xi.
All right, that's it. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So day one takeaways from Trump and Xi's meeting in China. This came out just an hour ago. So let's go ahead and bring this up and quickly get into it. And then we'll get into CENTCOM a little bit here.
Back here on Live Now from Fox, 9:54 on the East Coast and 6:54 on the West Coast. Right there on the left-hand side of your screen, taking a look at a photo posted on social media by the White House.
I actually don't know the exact day it's supposed to be opened, Charlie, but once I figure that out, I'll let you know.
Showing a photo of the arrival of President Trump as he met with Xi Jinping, the president of China. I do want to take this full to give you a better look once again at that photo just coming out here from the White House. As President Trump continues his trip to Beijing, he has now extended an invitation to President Xi and his wife to visit the White House in September. Trump mentioning the invite during his toast at a state banquet hosted by Xi, wrapping up day one of his summit. Now, we brought it to you here on Live Now from Fox as it played out.
Thank you again.
Okay, we already did that. We already listened to that. Let's go into this part right here. So these are the key takeaways from the first day. Diplomatic engagement. It was a 2-hour private meeting. Trump invites Xi to the White House in September. And then Trump and Xi attend a state banquet, as you guys saw as well. Global affairs and stability. Agree Strait of Hormuz must reopen. Agree Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And Xi warns of conflict on Taiwan's sovereignty.
All right, there you have it right there. Now take a look here as the day began with a private 2-hour meeting between Trump and Xi. Some of the highlights, it appeared the two leaders agreed that the Strait of Hormuz must reopen and that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. But a big point of contention was Taiwan and its sovereignty. She reportedly warning Trump that U.S. support for Taiwan could lead to conflict with China. Now, it's important to note at the end of last year, Trump authorized an $11 billion arms package for Taiwan, which is a self-governing island that China claims as its territory. Dr. Zhongyan Zoe Liu is the senior fellow for China Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations, joining us now live to discuss everything that happened in Beijing and what.
Well, if I had to guess, I have no idea, wild card, but if I had to guess, they probably may not be done with the whole bunker part underneath the ballroom, but maybe the ballroom itself will be accessible. I don't know.
Still to come. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us.
What's up, Tree Crew?
Of course. And what I'm going to do is kind of pop up some.
This motherfucker, Josh, mute this part with Xi and Trump. That's where the background noise is coming from.
Of the video here that
There you
shows
go.
the arrival of President Trump as he was meeting with Xi Jinping. What has kind of stood out to you about all of this as it's played out?
You be good out there, No. We always appreciate you.
The most important point that I read from the image, Josh, is that China now is showing a very different image than President Trump was in China last time in 2017. This time, China is showing more confidence, very tech-oriented, and even tech-forward. And more importantly, China is showing a full-on display of confidence that it is now on equal footing with the United States.
There was a lot.
Which is, honestly great because I mean they are a superpower just like we are. So it's kind of good. It's obviously good that these two are agreeing to something and being able to have diplomatic meetings like this is
In
great.
the way of these 9-minute comments, almost 10 minutes that we had from President Xi, followed by President Trump at the state banquet. And this is some of the video of the.
And not only just diplomatic, conversations, but actually agreeing on things. And Xi, kind of saying, given an olive branch saying we shouldn't be enemies. We should be partners in the world.
Rivals of family members of Trump, also
Big
members
deal.
of the administration, like Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. He was there, and you're going to see some of these entrances in just a second. But what did you make of the comments, the toast there from both leaders? Anything that necessarily stood out to you?
I guess the interesting part is that there is nothing really surprising. It almost feels like both leaders said exactly the perfect thing that they should say. And that in itself is.
And you're probably right. You're probably right. I don't know which way they're going to go in their construction or whatever. But, I would assume that safety would be priority before anything else. Right. But I don't know. Real quick, we got Brother Dwayne Martin in the chat. Good morning to you. Great to see you, by the way. And yes, Steve Easy says, can we get them likes up? Yes, let's get the likes up, man. Appreciate
Actually
you guys.
Should be interpreted as a warning sign rather than reassurance. I'd say this is less about a reset than really the two sides try to manage a pause in the escalation of strategic competition. It's very clear that both sides want stability, but they want stability for very different reasons.
And again, you're looking at some of that video as they entered in for that state banquet. As far as President Trump,
My cat just knocked over my Christmas tree. I still have my Christmas tree up on my speaker, on my big speaker over there by the big TV. She just knocked over that whole thing right now.
He invited Xi and his wife to visit the White House on a specific date. That is, of course, September 24th.
Damn it, Lucy.
What does that say? We're talking about well in advance, but also the fact that there is a specific date.
Now she won't stop fucking with it.
And that
Okay, now I got to go pick it up because she won't stop fucking with it.
a September date is really important for two reasons. One is that it's right before the midterm election. That goes to show President Trump is running on a much shorter political clock than President Xi Jinping. And then on the other hand, it is also ahead of the end of the November last year U.S.-China trade a tariff escalation pause. So it's very clear from these 2 points that Trump wants three things. One is economic deliverables, and then secondly, political optics, and thirdly, some time to buy his midterm election.
Also important to note here, there is still 1 day left before President Trump departs. There are some photos that are going to take place later on today. There's what's called a friendly photo, a family photo, that'll take place later on tonight. Also important to note, they are 12 hours ahead from Eastern time. So as that happens around 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, that is 11:30 a.m. Obviously local time there in Beijing. Also, there's going to be a lunch that takes place between the two. Now, that is closed door. Anything that we can assume is maybe taking place behind those closed doors, we are not privy to those conversations. We essentially wait to see what the White House has to say, what maybe...
Yeah, no kidding, wild card. That's
some
hilarious.
of the officials there in China have to say. But I imagine at times things probably get a little tense when you're talking about topics that maybe the two don't agree on, like Taiwan.
I'd agree with you. Here Taiwan is the real red line underneath the ceremony, the spectacle, and perhaps the most consequential language is not necessarily the banquet language. And in fact, President Xi Jinping already told President Trump that Taiwan is the most important issue in U.S.
Right. That's the main thing for China's standpoint is the most important
relationship. And
right.
He also warned that mishandling it could lead to clashes and even conflicts. So from that point of view, I'd imagine that behind the closed doors, the two sides might have a more intense conversation about it. But that also said, that being said, it could also be perfectly fine that the two leaders just wanted to have a good time to make sure that they at least like each other enough so that we can have the next summit.
Interesting. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on here. Let's go ahead and get this CENTCOM. We have a little bit of the hearing that's going on. They're having a hearing in front of the Senate right now. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Let's see how much we can
that
get.
That hearing is now getting underway. We're hearing now from General Anderson, but should hear from Brad Cooper in just a bit. He is, of course, the head of CENTCOM. Let's pop up the audio now and listen to some of those remarks live.
And without sufficient indicators and warnings, we risk being blind to the gathering dangers and threats in the region. AFRICOM's lack of expeditionary capabilities and diminished force posture compromise our crisis response. In a crisis, we can always surge assets, but you cannot surge trust. Our reduced presence on the continent also allows disruptive actors to drive the agenda, undercutting American interests. China views Africa as its second continent, securing control over critical minerals and infrastructure, potentially boxing us out of resources that energize our industrial base. Africa also serves as Putin's purse, where Russia exploits instability to extract resources, to include human lives, to fuel its war machine. To contend with these threats, AFRICOM must think and
So this is AFRICOM speaking right now. Now, I really kind of want to get a little bit more from, if we can get from CENTCOM, that's really where I'm interested right now. Respect to AFRICOM, but, let's go and see if we get any Cooper in here.
Final 2-minute commercial break of the hour, but a lot more live coverage on the other side.
To look at the entirety of the network. It's not any single node anymore. And so as we look at this, I coordinate very closely with Admiral Cooper because ISIS still has a strong presence in CENTCOM's AOR as well as Al-Qaeda. As we look at this, the strategy to go after this is to work with our partners, those willing and capable partners, enable them first and foremost to take on this threat. When they are unable to do that, then bringing in only the unique capabilities that the U.S. can bring in order to address those threats. We've seen that in the Golis Mountains where we've been
We are in OT, but we're not long for OT today.
Be able to bring intelligence, limit ISR, some limited strike capabilities that has been able to disrupt their leadership network. This needs to be applied across all of these areas. So investments in additional ISR, investments in expeditionary capabilities, such as in a float forward staging base like the Herschel Woody Williams that allow us to move to the point of need at the time of need, and then the force protection requirements that are necessary to protect that force in the expeditionary area. And I would add not just the force protection as in the counter UAS and the integrated air missile defense, which are critical, but also investments in emerging technologies that allow austere medicine, forward medicine, remote medicine, automated CASEVAC. These types of things allow us to become more expeditionary in order to get after these critical threats. And only the critical threats pose threat to the U.S. and then enable partners as able to address these common threats. So it is a multifaceted strategy. I could even go into more, I won't in this detail, but really maintaining the relationships and the engagements are equally important, and having that pragmatic approach, opening dialogue with the AES states in the Sahel again, addressing this with places like Algeria and Morocco and Libya even, who share these concerns. Building those relationships are absolutely vital because you cannot surge trust.
If the chairman would indulge me, can I have a follow-up question on the Sahel since he brought it up?
Yes, why don't you do that?
Thank you.
Oh,
we know
shit.
you brought up the Sahel, but last month, the JNIM and local militias in Mali executed coordinated nationwide offensive attacks, attacking Mali's capital, seizing key towns, killing the Malian defense minister. Though these attacks were greater in scale and intensity than any other since 2012, and clearly demonstrate the attackers' ability to strike against an expansive geographical area. So you're talking a little bit about this
Hell yeah, Magic Man. Thank you for the 10 jewels, my
Sahel,
man.
but
Appreciate
the
that.
permissive environment in the Sahel that's making these attacks possible. And what more can you do? Would you like to add if you want to speak a little bit more about instability there?
I would, there are a few things I would like to add in this setting. I can talk to you more in a classified setting that would be highly appropriate to this. But to your point, there is no effective external counterterrorism effort in the Sahel right now. The Russians have claimed to do that, but we saw that they had to withdraw from Kidal. We're unable to defend against that threat there. They are providing some limited support, but we do not see the same Western presence. Because of that, then how do we enable the partners, the other nations that are there? How do we look at expeditionary capabilities again that we can result in this? One of the key areas that we would need some assistance with is the authorities' ability to bring in and experiment with emerging technologies, whether that's in the surveillance and ISR type of technologies or
Yeah, So there was two previous to that one, PJ. And what we found out is those two ships that they took actually had Iranian oil on them. So it was all just theatrics, made it look like they were doing something, but it was actually all bullshit. And that's something that I told you guys that may have, when we were reporting it live, I was like, this might be bullshit. And sure shit, it turned out to be bullshit. So I wouldn't be surprised if that third one or whatever is the same thing. Anyways, back to this.
And other over the horizon type capabilities, like I mentioned with the medicine and others, in order to reach when there is a threat that threatens the homeland, to be able to reach it and take care of it. But more importantly, continue to enable the partners to address the threats in their
Interesting. Yep. Probably going to be the same case as what I told you about.
Local areas. And a lot of that's through intelligence sharing. I would be happy in a classified environment to talk in more depth.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Admiral General. Thank you, Chairman Wicker.
Thank you very much, Senator Rosen. And I'm glad you brought up Lebanon and Hezbollah. So I'm going to take another round, Admiral Cooper. And to stop me when I'm wrong, on March 2nd of this year, Hezbollah attacked Israel in response to Operation Epic Fury. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
According to Israel's foreign minister.
Hey, I appreciate that, Steve Easy. Yeah, man, we've been hard at work with the information, right? And actually digging into, also what they're not saying. You got to be able to have the art of being able to read between the lines and connect dots, right?
Hezbollah has fired 10,000 missiles, rockets, and drones at Israel during the past 2 months. Is that correct?
Yeah, alongside with Putin there, Prez. That's hilarious.
I believe that's correct, sir.
And in response to these attacks, Israel initiated a ground offensive in southern Lebanon, aiming to create an uninhabited buffer zone along its northern border and to push Hezbollah north to the Latini River. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator.
So finally, we're getting to hear from Admiral Cooper.
To enable this operation, the Israeli military ordered the evacuation of southern Lebanon, displacing over 1 million people, nearly 20% of Lebanon's population. That is also correct.
I don't know that that number specifically is correct, but the concept of the evacuation is correct.
While governments of Israel and Lebanon declared a ceasefire in April of this year, Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem announced that his organization would not recognize the ceasefire and would never agree to disarm. Is that correct?
That statement is correct.
Yeah, he made that statement. Hezbollah then continued to fire projectiles into Israel, and Israel has continued to strike Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon. That's also correct, isn't it?
That's correct, sir.
And I think Senator Rosen would wholeheartedly agree with me that peace between Israel, and I can't ask questions to my friend and colleague, but I think we would both agree that peace between Israel and Lebanon would be a wonderful development, and a wonderful development for America and for Israel. But peace between Israel and Lebanon depends on the Lebanese government having both the capability and the will to disarm Hezbollah. Has the United States provided the Lebanese armed forces with approximately $3 billion since 2006?
So I'd have to take that specific volume, that specific number for the record and follow up. But we have been providing aid for 2 decades.
Is it fair to say that the primary goal of U.S. support for the LAF, the Lebanese armed forces, was to counter Hezbollah?
Yes, sir.
And from 2006 until 2023, is it accurate to say that Hezbollah's rocket and missile arsenal grew from 2006 to 2023 from approximately 9,000 rockets and missiles to 150,000?
As a result of decades and billions of dollars of Iranian support, that's correct.
Israel's foreign minister alleges that.
By the way, guys, we've got over 400 people in here between both the live streams. Make sure you guys double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. Hit that like button if you're on the horizontal. Listen, you guys don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for what we do here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that.
That Hezbollah fired more than 10,000 projectiles at Israel since the beginning of March of this year. In light of the Lebanese armed forces in action, was Israel's offensive into southern Lebanon military?
Oh man, you don't know who you're fucking with. You have zero idea. Listen, this is my show. If you don't want this shit uninterrupted and all that shit, you go to the mainstream fucking side and be a good fucking girl and go watch the mainstream media. This over here, this is my shit, okay? No one tells me how to fucking operate here. So why don't you go ahead and be a good girl and go watch the mainstream media, loser. See ya.
Militarily necessary if Hezbollah's attacks were going to be countered. Was there another way to do that?
So I would really defer to Israel on intent and effectiveness, but just as a general statement.
Militarily necessary, though.
There are, it is an option among options, of which there are few, to deal with the Hezbollah problem.
I appreciate Senator Rosen bringing this up, and it just would go back to the central point. It would be a tremendous achievement for Israel, Lebanon.
What's up, Patriot? Good morning.
The United States and the Middle East, if Hezbollah could be eliminated and allow the Lebanese people and the Lebanese government to resume the happy relations that we once had and strive for between the United States and Lebanon.
Brother Pitbull.
Would Senator Rosen have any further questions? Then this concludes today's hearing. I want to thank our witnesses for their testimony.
I was totally thinking this was going to be an all-day thing, like it usually is. Usually it's an all-day, 2-day event bullshit. You know, it's 2 days of all day sitting there in a hearing. You know,
and I would acknowledge that many of the arrows aimed at these two witnesses were better aimed at people in the civilian leadership who, according to our great Constitution and our principles dating back to George Washington, are in control of policy. And I would commend these two military veterans for adhering to that constitutional principle. And with that, we are, I would inform members that questions for the record be due to the committee within 2 business days, and we are adjourned.
All right. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough. We didn't do an extreme amount of overtime this morning. I told you guys it probably wouldn't be that long. It was only 13 minutes, whatever, of overtime. Listen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough for allowing me to do this Monday through Friday. And of course, on Saturday morning for members only, man. You guys are the best. Listen, we're going to be back tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness, of course. This evening, I've got to be over there in Hamilton with JR Bowling, doing our very final, last campaign thing is a meet and greet out by the Mississippi state border. So it's about 2.5 hours away, something like that. But it's going to be a good evening. Anyways, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. Until then, God bless you guys. Also, stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy and great political commentator, Rob Noor. So make sure you guys let him know we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid. I'll go in there and hang out with you guys as well. So, all right. Much love to everybody. We'll see you guys very soon.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken, he rides on to his ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit.